Welcome back to the channel, all you saltaholics. It's Salty Reflections with Stephanie and Oliver Chavis. So I've got a different treat for you today. This is for the seashellers out there. When we were seashelling the other day, I found something, whelk egg casing, and I found them before, and I've told you guys that I was going to show you guys how to get the baby whelk out of them if there were any. So the one we came across this other day had some babies in it for sure, and I want to show you guys what they look like. So this is the whelk egg casing, and I'm not a professional, I'm just a beachcomber. This is just what I've learned from them. So I've picked out one of my favorite whelks that we have found over the years to show you guys this. So this whelk will have an egg casing similar to this. I've actually found two different styles. They look very similar to this, but they're a little bit different. So I'm not sure if one's lightning whelk versus the knobbed whelk or the channeled whelk or something like that. That's what I assume, but I don't know for sure yet. So these little foals have little babies in them, and I'm gonna show you what they look like. Matter of fact, as I pulled that one out, one has fallen out here on the tray. So that is how tiny. So something this tiny grew into that awesome. The wind's blowing out here, so I hope it doesn't blow my little babies off. But I'm gonna try to show you guys how these little babies right here come out of this whelk egg casing. So you can see there's holes, and you can see they're kind of translucent, but every once in a while there'll be one that's got a lot of stuff in it. Now, of course, when they're out on the beach, it just kind of comes out naturally. This little hole is where they come out of. And see, there's one, but there's actually a lot of them all in there. I don't know if you can see them that well, but I'm gonna go through and pull some out and show you guys how many come out of this one egg casing right here. I can see several lobes right there have a lot of them in it. Look, just from me pushing it and that pressure, one came out already right there. That's really cool. And you can see just from me moving it around, several more have already fallen out. So when they're out here, after they come off of the whelk and the whelk releases it, it does kind of string out, I guess, as it's having it, from from pictures I've seen. And then once it lets it go, this part just continues to mature as we did when we were babies. And then when this egg casing is ready, when these little baby whelks are ready to be released and, you know, survive on their own, this little hole right here thins out. It was not a hole before, it was solid as this egg casing was growing, and then it thins out and forms that little hole. And when they're all lined up, you can see, I mean, they come like right down the center as this thing twirls. It's really cool, and they just start flowing out of the little hole as they're in the water. So you can see just more and more come out. And whenever I first was going to clean it, I put it in some water. So I'm going to strain this and just show you guys what comes out. So I dumped some of the water out, and I don't know if you can see it very good, but there's lots of little tiny ones up there on that sand. You can see it, but I'm going to strain it through right now through this little metal strainer. I'm just going to dump it out and get the sand mixed up with it so the sand can go through. Look at all those little tiny ones in there. I'm just going to dump that water back in. Mix it up again. So look at all those babies already. There's still a few in the picture I'm gonna get out, but look at all those babies. I mean, that's probably 100 right there already. So you see, even though there was a lot of in that the little baby whelk still in there, think how many had already gotten out before I picked it up, because you can't even hardly see them in there. But just want to show you a little better picture now that I can use both hands of how many come out of one. I'm actually going to rip this one just so you can see it. But normally I do sit there and squeeze them out. Actually, I could have just kept rinsing them in that water. A lot of them would have come out. Look how many, just clumps of them. So is that cool or what? All right, so I'm going to keep getting them out, and I want to see how many come out of this actual one egg casing. So I'll get back with you guys in just a moment to let you know or show you the pile that I've gotten. Just stick with me. And you see how I'm just kind of working it out through there. I'm actually going to put some more water in here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's lots of them down there in this bottom section right here. You can see my finger. And I'm just going to take the egg casing and swirl it all around in the water, just like it would be if it was in turbulent seas. And I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to keep picking them out, and I'm going to show you guys what we come back with. Alright, so as I'm doing this last little one here, just got it in it, got the little whelks in it. As I was pushing up on the hole, I could see the little teeny thin layer of material. I don't know if you guys can see it right there on the edge of my fingernail, but there's a little piece of material that was blocking that hole. So it's right there on the edge of my finger now, very translucent little piece of the whelk casing, but very interesting. And so then, as I said, after that little hole opened up, they would start making their way out of it. Now, of course, this one had not opened up on that hole before it washed up on the beach, as you could see. So these were deceased inside. This was washed up on the beach out of the tide. You can see them coming out. So you can see this is time consuming, and I've got a lot of them. This is the last little one I had not emptied yet. I'll try to see exactly how many come out of that one little spot. I know if y'all are true seashellers, this is really interesting to y'all, because I find this fascinating, that these little tinies start out their life this way. And of course, this is the reason why, you know, their life expectancy, or I guess, you know, the ones that reach maturity is not that high. So you can see all those in there. So I'm gonna pour it. I'm just gonna pour it through this little tea strainer here to catch all the little townies. You see them there. So that's what came out of. I'm gonna rinse it off just to get some of the sand off. But all those, that's what came out of just one little flap of that egg casing. all those little itties. 1, 2. So that little group is 10, and there's several of those little groups there. So I'd say there's probably like 50. They're so tiny, it's hard to see, but that's really cool. So I'm gonna strain this container back out and show you what the results are. So I strained some of the water out just so it wouldn't be so much. But I want to dump all this in here. 2 little ones there. Got to get the sand moving a little better. There we go. And there's a couple left down in there I'll grab. Just rinsing some of that dirt and debris and little flakes of stuff. There was like a filminess, kind of slickness in there with them. Isn't that just so cool? Now these are deceased shells, so they do have a pretty natural odor, I guess you would say, because I had left this original whelk casing in this little bit of water and had been swirling around every once in a while whenever I thought about it, just to let some of them come out on their own as it was swishing through the water. And that water did have a funk to it this morning. So I'm gonna let all these dry out really good, and I'll add them to my little collection of babies. I've only done this one other time, but I had said I was gonna let you guys see, and this is what it is. So whenever I picked this up, there was only, I don't know, several, but 6 or 8 of them that I could see definitely had stuff in it. So this probably came out of 6 or 8, 10 maybe. So that is pretty awesome. All right guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video, something a little different. We got to look a little closer at the whelk and the whelk egg casings, and look there. So this gorgeous of a whelk could have produced a whelk egg casing like that, and then had all those little babies. That is cool. I think that is gorgeous. So anyway, guys, thanks for coming along on today's little journey, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Visit us on Facebook if you haven't yet, and have a great day. It's that seagull right there talking to us.